Hey, what's going on? So I want to talk to you today about anxiety and white coat syndrome. Some of you may have heard of this. It is basically you are scared to go to the doctor to find out your worst fears. Basically, you are scared to go to find out that you have a bad disease or sickness. So you put off going to the doctor, hoping, that you either A, don't have it, or you are convinced that you have it and there's no need to go get a diagnosis, or you're scared to hear, technically that you have it. It's very confusing, it doesn't make sense, and it's very common with people that have bad health anxiety or hypochondria. That's just some of the things that we deal with. So it was something that, really plagued me and bugged me, and I had bad panic attacks. So in the beginning, I thought that, I had heart disease, and I didn't want to go to the doctor. My mom kept on pressing me to go. She was like, she knew that there was nothing wrong with me. She was a nurse. She knew that I was just having a panic attack, and that my anxiety was getting bad, and I was starting to turn into this crazy hypochondriac. And I was just researching all day about symptoms and symptoms and symptoms. And if you have health anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. You'll spend a whole day convincing yourself off of Google that you have a certain disease. And it's not just, I'm not just talking about heart disease. It can be cancer. It can be, nerve disorders, mental issues. You basically can convince yourself anything. And Google is not the best place to go. I encourage everybody with anxiety to stay away from that. If you have any questions, go to your doctor. But once you go there, you need to trust the doctor. And that's another issue. But anyways, you are scared to go, and I was scared to go. I was looking up, ways to treat my heart disease that I didn't even have. So I was scared to go. And guys, like I said, this doesn't make much sense, because you would think if we had something, we would want to go, and even if we did have it, you could start the process of getting better by, going through professionals. But it's like you're in such shock, you convince yourself that you have it, and then you're in such shock that you have it, that you just don't want to really find out for sure that you have it, because you might have like this 5% chance or hope that you don't have it. Very, very confusing to say the least. So that's the kind of thing that I was going through. That's the kind of thing that most of us that have hypochondria or health anxiety go through. You generally have two different types of people. You have the people that are in the doctor's office every day because they're scared to death that they're dying, and they have no shame in going to the doctors. The doctors know them on a first name basis. They're basically kicking them out the door. Get out of here. Then you got the guys like me, where I was scared to go to the doctor because I was so certain I was going to find out something I didn't want to. They put the blood pressure cuff on me. My blood pressure would shoot up through the roof just because I was scared I was going to get a high reading. That happened to me every single time. So that was kind of something that I was dealing with also. And my best advice to you guys is to go to the doctor. And it's easier said than done. I didn't listen back in the day when people told me to do it. I still don't like going to the doctor, but if I really feel like something's seriously wrong, I have a family. I'm not going to chance it. I'm going to go get tested or get checked. And I'm not just saying that to say, to make sure you don't have it, but it's to give you reassurance. Once that doctor tells you that you're fine and that your test results come back clear, for me, I felt like $1,000,000. At least I stopped worrying about that disease, Many of us that have hypochondria issues or health anxiety, we graduate from one disease and we move on to another one, and now we think that we have cancer instead of heart disease. This is the problem, And in that case, it kind of sucks, because then you're still going to want to get tests done, and that's a whole nother problem. But I will say this, you're at least making some progress if you go to the doctor one time. If you need to go out of town to go to a good one because you don't trust the ones near you, then do what you got to do. But once you get that testing done, breathe a sigh of relief and take that reassurance and, put some pep in your step and get in the car and go home and start living your life. It took me like 2 or 3 trips to the doctor to feel that way. I would feel great after I left the doctor. They told me that, my EKGs were fine and stuff like that, and that they didn't see anything wrong with my blood work. But, I, of course, would go back to the internet and start researching and finding, these little tiny accidents that have happened with testing And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, that wasn't a real good test. They didn't do a really good test. I need to have a heart monitor for a month for them to pick up these small little moments that they're not picking up whenever I'm in there. So I would feel some relief, but it took about until the third time for me to actually, be like, okay, Trey, you've been to the doctor 3 times over this heart thing, and they have, 3 different doctors, and none of them have found anything wrong with you. So maybe we should just start, accepting that this is just panic attacks, and I'm imagining these symptoms, or I'm making symptoms worse. I had a lot of tension in my chest. I had all the classic symptoms of heart disease, but it was just straight up anxiety causing all this. I was so focused. I was so convinced. Then I had stomach pain. And the funny thing about that is finally when I convinced myself to make a doctor's appointment for my stomach pain, because I was convinced I had some type of, cancer in my stomach area or intestinal tract. So I was like, I need to go get that checked. So I finally, got the courage, and I made the appointment. And then right after that, my stomach pain magically went away, and I didn't deal with it ever again. Pretty amazing, right? Sometimes even making the appointment and you getting that relief that you're gonna get checked and things are gonna start getting better for you, and that even if you do have something, that you can treat it, will almost make those symptoms not seem so bad leading up to your appointment. That was something that I noticed. Also, I had lymph nodes down here that would swell up, and I think it was literally just because I had a tube problem from my ear and drainage issues, so I would just naturally, these glands over here would kind of get a little puffy. Most of it was just because I kept messing with it, and the more you mess with your lymph nodes, guys, the bigger they're going to swell, so keep that in mind. I messed with mine all the time, and subconsciously wasn't thinking about it, or subconsciously I was doing it. So I went to the ENT 2 different times. I was begging for a CAT scan. They wouldn't give it to me, basically. They said it was just too much of a risk for something that she said she knows there's nothing wrong with me, and she didn't want to up my cancer risk by, putting me under the CAT scan. So the first time I didn't really believe her. I was just I was directing her to where it was. I was like, do you not feel that? And she's like, I feel it, but it's nothing serious, And it's I was trying to get her to tell me that something was wrong with me. So I made the courage to go to the doctor and get this checked out, and I was trying to basically force some bad news out of her. And the second time that I went back, and 6 months later, and she said that there was no issue and it could just be the tube thing, I finally believed her, and then what do you know? Symptoms decreased, and now rarely, unless I get bad allergies, does anything happen there. And that was a daily thing for me. Literally, me focusing on it made it 10 times worse. So if you're dealing with this, guys, go to the doctor. You feel better after you get that reassurance. And don't be like me and it take 2 or 3 times to go to the doctor per problem. You need to just really trust the doctor the first time and just see how it changes, okay? See how it changes things. Don't be scared. And, there's people out there that don't even have health anxiety or issues like that, and even if you magically did have something, it is better to go find out now, and the small chance that you do have an actual problem or disorder or disease or illness, at least you can get it, in check, or get it started on a treatment plan or something to make sure that you stay healthy, okay? It's not smart to do that. And, I never thought I would be like that, but whenever I had health anxiety, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I'm not even wanting to go to the doctor. I'm too scared to go find out, my new reality of being a chronically sick person. So guys, you have to go. Just make that step and go do it. So if you're watching this and you're struggling with anxiety or depression, health anxiety, panic attacks, I'm so sorry. I've been through that whole thing. I know how it goes, been there, done that. You just got to start working on your anxiety while you're, taking in the trust and the reassurance that the doctors are giving to you. So you need to make sure that your diet's good. You need to make sure that you're exercising, that you're doing meditation, your positive thinking, your positive affirmations, making sure that you're taking proper nutrients like a multivitamin. Vitamin C is also really good, and vitamin B12 and vitamin B6 is great for mood stabilization. And yeah, keep a journal every day and writing that thing every single day. All right, that's going to help you a lot. Also, join the Facebook group down below for panic attack and anxiety support, because we got a lot of great people in there that are going to help you out whenever I can't always get to you. Also, leave me a comment down below if you've struggled with white coat syndrome. And like this video, please, so we can get it up into search rankings. And subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell next to it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Y'all have a good one.